Good evening and salutations, my GH fans. First of all, I want to apologize for yesterday. One, it came out super late, the video, and two, it had the wrong date. And I was sitting there thinking, when I saw the comments, wondering why no one actually told me, hey buddy, the date is wrong. I normally have one drink of wine. And that really shouldn't have caused me to screw up that much. So I don't know what that was about, but I apologize nonetheless. So also, I have a dentist appointment tomorrow. And with that being said, depending on how much the level of pain I'm in, I may either do it later on, or I possibly may not do a video tomorrow to the next day. But we'll just have to see where my pain level is tomorrow after the dentist. Besides Damon, who's always really cool as far as, commenting and stuff, I want to thank JCarly98, or JSam. I had a question yesterday. I know it was kind of a weird question. It was about, like, do companies cover drinks and stuff like that? What you were really cool about answering, so I want to thank you. So, I've been reading the comments, and this pertains to this episode today, about clips with Sam and Jason, and just this negative backlash with the way that the story is going with Sam. And I've kind of brushed it off to some extent because I was like, listen, I'm pretty sure they're going to do whatever they're going to do in a very organic way where it makes sense. And when I watched it tonight, I was like, what the am I watching? A lot of people have been slamming her in the comment section talking about she's not the girl she used to be. As far as being adventurous and stuff like that, and now she's like this former shell of a woman, and some people are defending her, busting it to saying, hey, listen, when you have kids, things change, you're not the same person that you once was, certain things you can't sit there and afford to do because you have kids. Now, I remember getting particularly really pissed off at her when Drew was there, or, Jason Drew or whatever. And Sonny was in a meeting with Drew, formerly Jason, and things turned sideways pretty quick. And Drew took, he took the situation, he took hold of the situation, and he had everything under control. But Sam burst on in the door and was like, I don't know if she had some premonition or she was paranoid, whatever she was going through, I guess, like some sort of medical thing. And she just rushed in, she was like, Jason, and it distracted him from what he was doing, and somebody was about to shoot Sam, and Drew jumped in front of the bullet for Sam. And Sam kicked herself because she was like, back in the day, I would have had a pistol or something. I wouldn't have came into a gunfight empty-handed. And Carly and Sonny and everyone else was saying, it's not your fault, it's not your fault. I was like, well, it kind of was your fault, because why the hell would you actually do that? And she said somewhere along the lines, she's not the girl that she used to be, the girl that would jump, be riding on the back of Harley motorcycles. And I was like, wow, you sound like you, went from being really fun to really boring. Well, that sucks. And so we get to today's episode where, after Jason leaves, because he's playing game night or whatever, and the conversation turns where Jason is telling Sam, the dirt that Julian has been doing, which was a lot. And, between Brad and the bombing of, not Charlie's, the Floating Reb. She's like, oh, it's terrible, this is terrible, that's terrible, and everything's going fine, up until the point where Sam was like, this all happened because he was trying to get at Jim. Okay, wow. While it was true, it just didn't seem like Sam, like the old Sam that we knew and we loved or whatever. Um, but then at some point, Sam is like, this is what happens when Julian, he's trying. And this made no sense, by the way. So somewhere along the line, Sam is like, well, this is what happens when you're in a mob and you think you could have it all and a happy ending and yada, yada, yada. And Jason turns around because he realizes that she is not just talking about Julian. She's also talking about them. Jason is not an idiot. Despite the fact that he may not say anything, he's kind of quiet and he, could be quote unquote stone cold. He's not an idiot. So he did pick up on that right away. But then Sonny called him because Sonny was having a meeting with Martin Gray about trying to get information or whatever. And, Jason left, but Sam was like, you gotta leave, leave or whatever, yada, yada, yada. She was upset, she was crying and stuff like that, and Jason just really didn't know what to do. Which we'll get to Jason's part in a minute, but he didn't really know what to do. He knew he had to leave, and this is how they always was, I leave, I come back, and we're all good. You know what I do, yada, yada, yada. So Jason leaves, Danny comes downstairs, and Sam is asking, fishing for information about Danny. And she's like, are you upset that he had to leave for game night, and yada, yada, yada. And at first, Danny's like, no, it's cool, that's just how it always is. And Sam is like, no, I really want to know. I'm like, this really feels like you're fishing for reasons to leave Jason. And, granted, she picked up on the fact that, Danny was just not telling the whole truth. And he did, that he wished his life could be a little bit different, a normal life with a normal dad and not just somebody that just leaves at all hours of the day and night and not really feel like he spends enough time with him. So, breaking Sam's heart, but also I feel like it's just fueling her motivation for what she does later on in this episode. So at some point, Jason comes back from his meeting with Sonny, because they got, I guess, a whereabout on where Julian is. Martin Gray pretty much just told him everything, and I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of funny. Marty dropped his phone, Sonny picks it up, he's like, let's just have a talk, He's like, I want to know what's going on with you, how you doing? And Martin Gray was like, you're not gonna let me get away if I just say no, right? So he pretty much interrogates him, he gets the information. When Jason gets there, he's like, yo, listen, we got the car, there's a transponder or whatever, and, they're gonna get Spinelli to, track where the car's at. We got the information, we gotta go, so go back and get ready, because we gotta leave. So Jason comes back home, and, actually, to tell you the truth, he comes back home, he already has his stuff packed. And Sam does something that was, out of left field. This is where I understand where people are pissed off at Sam. Because the way that they're going about it. Sam literally tells Jason, Danny's upset that you had to leave for game night. And, whatever. She's just, really pissed off at him for that. And Jason is like, yeah, I understand, I'll make it up to him later on. And Sam literally says, listen, if you leave out that door, do not come back. And I'm like, whoa. Here's the thing. Sam is entitled to her feelings, her opinions, just has been boiling over for a while. But when Sam was really quick to sit there and tell Jason, you know, if y'all having problems or whatever, we gotta talk, we gotta communicate. You threw this at Jason out of left field. Literally out of left field. You didn't have a talk with him like, hey, listen, we gotta get out the mob or whatever. I'm not really liking this lifestyle, yada, 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 whatever. You just blindside him by saying, if you leave, you're not coming back. You know damn well Jason is out on a mission right now. And for you to come out your mouth and be like, you give him an ultimatum when he's like about to go into something, was like, it was so bad the way they wrote Sam in that scene, the way the writers did that, like out of left field. It's like, all right, we gotta find some sort of way to break up or cause friction between Jason and Sam, so we'll just rush this. And by I mean rush, like, yeah, they took their time to some extent with Sam and, you know, having mixed feelings about being with Jason, but as far as talking that out, no, that was really rushed and was just like, are you kidding me? And I know I'm spending more time on this than I should because there's other scenes, but I have so many issues with the way they did that. And I guess we're going to find out tomorrow. Now, I know if you go and you watch any one of the clips about Jason and Sam and the way this episode ended, you're going to see, first of all, 90% of the comments is going to be hate comments towards Sam. 10% is going to be supportive. And while I do understand where Sam is coming from as far as being a parent, I'm not a parent myself, but as far as being a parent, and how she's been feeling, and yeah, you do have a right to always change your mind and change how you feel about something later on down the line. You're going to have a bunch of people that's going to sit there and say the same thing that Carly said. You knew it, you knew what you signed up for, you had a child with him. You know? And at any point in time, you could have just said, no, this is for me, and left. Of course, we all know that wouldn't do any good, because it's not like, hey, listen, if you divorce, you know what, I was going to come out to Sam, but she divorced Jason, so there's really no point now. Like, no, that's not how that's not how the bad guys work. And I'll just leave it at that. Sasha gets out the hospital, and apparently she wants revenge. And she goes over Cyrus's place, and has like this faux breakup, like, oh, I can't believe you just ditched me, I thought we were cool, yada yada yada, what are you doing, this is so messed up. And, you know, Cyrus just plays it off cool, like, hey, listen, you know, what's going on with me, I didn't want it to, you know, affect you or whatever. They come up with some sort of BS. And Cyrus was like, nah, it's fine. And, you know, Cyrus is getting ready to go to a meeting. So he's like, yo, listen, you can stay here, but I gotta go. So Brando's there. Brando was having a talk with Cyrus earlier about taking on more responsibility. And of course, Cyrus was not happy the way that Brando handled the situation. Pretty much Cyrus is like, yo, listen, she's about to OD. How about we just let fate just take control of the situation? Oh, you decided to take her to the hospital. That was like so not cool. So he really wasn't happy about that. But he decides to keep him on board. And And after Cyrus leaves, Cyrus is like, yo, Brando, stay with her, keep her company. The minute Cyrus leaves, not that long ago, like, what, 2 minutes? Apparently his place is soundproof, because Sasha starts digging through everything. It's like, I gotta find this drug, his stupid drugs that almost killed me. Brando's like, have you lost your damn mind? First of all, you nearly died. Second of all, do you not know, Cyrus? We need another reminder. We really don't need another reminder of the quote that I like to sit there and say. Someone has to die for everyone to live. I don't like saying that, but I feel like it's very important, because it's like somehow people forget that Cyrus is a legit bad guy. So she's snooping through stuff, and Brando's like, "Yo, you gotta go." So he like literally, I don't want to say he like manhandles her, but he gently escorts her out the premises, and he's like, "Yo, you gotta go." And Sasha just has that look on her face, like, "No, this isn't the last time you see me." Okay, I guess we gotta give Sasha something to do. So okay, all right, cool. So she's on a mission, and Trina's on a mission with the Scooby Gang, or I like to call it the Disney Club at this point, Jocelyn and Cam, and their whole idea is to get access to the medical files to find out what really happened with Taggart. Now, need something to drink. So the idea is to use Cameron's laptop, well, use Liz's laptop, his mom's laptop, to access the files of Cyrus. Taggart. They can't use Trina's because, I don't know. I think they said like they were married and something. I'm not really too sure. But somehow, and for some odd reason, they had to find a way to distract Epiphany. Which is weird, because they could have went at any part of the hospital and still had access to those files. There are multi-levels of that hospital. For some odd reason, they chose to go there. So Trina decides to distract Epiphany by asking her a bunch of questions about her dad and how he died, and what did you do to try to save him and why it didn't work, and distract, throw Epiphany off her game, which it did for a little bit. And after about 3 or 4 tries, Cameron was able to get access to the files. And then at some point, Epiphany walks away and she literally sees Cameron and Jocelyn, and she's like, "Hey," for some odd reason. And then she's like, "Is that a hospital laptop?" And, Cameron's like, "No, it's mine. But, ours look alike for some odd reason. Like, she's an idiot." And for a second, I thought she was. So they somehow just walk off. And they're like, "Alright, bye." And then Epiphany's like, ugh. Like those crazy kids or whatever. But then she gets an idea in her head, and she looks at, I guess, her PDA or whatever. And she realized that, yeah, somebody was trying to access files, which was Liz. And then she was like, "Oh, damn it." In a preview, she tells Jordan that, "Listen, your little fun house, your little game that you're doing, or whatever, it's starting to fall apart. So do something." Speaking of, at this point I'm just going to call him a waste of space. In this episode was, so funny. I'm sitting there drinking that like that's going to help. Jordan and Curtis. So they're celebrating their 1-year anniversary, and they're doing some sort of, I don't know what they're doing actually. It was some sort of Puerto Rican getaway or something like that. I was like, okay, alright, that's fine. Somewhere along the lines, they're celebrating, they're all happy and stuff, and then I think Curtis brings up Cyrus. And it all falls apart, and Jordan is on her sad train about how she could have done more, and she wish she would have been there, and which I don't understand why she was kicking herself for not being there for the explosion, because Portia said, if you were here, Cyrus would have used you. So what Curtis says? Hey, listen, you wouldn't have done any good by being here because Cyrus would have used you. So you wouldn't have been any good, which is, I'm not going to lie, was actually kind of worse to some extent, because Jordan was like, "So what does that say about me?" And I was like, yeah, I got nothing. But through the power of honestly, to tell you the truth, I think at this point, Curtis uses hopes and dreams speech and says something to make her feel better. I'm not gonna lie, to be honest, I felt like they were filler from start to end, and they didn't really do anything. They didn't really contribute to anything. They didn't move the story along, like the storyline along. They were just there, and then they were having a good time. Jordan was sad. Curtis made her feel better. The end. And yeah. I wish I could actually have said something more positive about them, but I got nothing. What else we got? Oh, at the end. So Cyrus does meet Martin Gray, and Martin gave Cyrus, because Sonny. Well, let me try to re-explain this. So Martin Gray gave Cyrus, like, you know, the information of what happened with Julian, that, you know, he stole his car and yada yada yada. I don't know if, like, I don't remember if he actually gave him information that Sonny also interrogated him, but he said something along the lines of, you know, this didn't seem like it was like a text conversation, you know, a conversation that you can have through text, which I really don't know why. I'm really interested to find out what their relationship is at this point, because I'm going to be really honest. He has to have some sort of connection to the story as a whole, because, to be honest, Martin Gray as a character, when he was representing Nell, okay, cool. He was there, he was the sleazy lawyer, whatever, but, like, he has some sort of connection to Martin Gray, which seems important, which is great, because as much as I love the character that was on All My Children, that I didn't actually watch, I'm glad that he's actually being more connected to the story. I honestly think, yep, that's actually about it. I really want to sit there and make sure I kind of, you know, said everything that it really happened in the episode, that I didn't miss anything. And I didn't miss anything, which was good. Again, apologies for this coming out kind of late. But, yeah. My work day was a little bit longer than I wanted it to be. And, between watching days and then I had some other stuff to do. Apologies for this coming out so late. But, again, also apologies for the date being wrong. In the future, if my date comes out wrong and you notice that, just be like, hey, the date is wrong, because I'm gonna apologize for that. Yeah, I'm actually surprised no one noticed that. Did anyone actually, you know what, did anyone actually notice that and was just really polite and was just like, yeah, I'm not gonna sit there and tell him how much of a dumbass he is for putting the incorrect date. But yes, with that being said, thank you so much for watching. I know this came out late, and the people that's not watching it tonight, hopefully will watch it tomorrow, and I am very grateful for that. With that being said, if you could share the video. I say that every now and then. Don't like to be like a typical YouTuber that's like share, and like, because that's just annoying. But it does also help grow the channel as far as like getting new people, whatever, to watch. And yes, in case my dentist experience is a lot more painful towards the people that watch days, Brock TV is also doing days. So worst come to worst, watch his channel. I mean, you can watch his channel honestly anyway. I appreciate the people that watch my channel too, but I'm never gonna be like, but don't watch this channel because I want you to watch mine, because the dude was actually really cool enough to give me subs, so I always gonna actually have the most utmost respect for him. But yeah, in case things get really bad, hit up his channel. Dude's really good. Hopefully it doesn't come to that, because I really don't like pain. Have a good night, or a good day. Thanks for listening to me rant.